Well, as the weekend comes to an end, it does not end here at all, people. You know why? Because today we got a very interesting episode. Now, for our Sunday ones that we have, of course, we have the latest GLEAT show version EX. I don't know what that meant, but we had some interesting matches that took place. But the main event features the G-Rex title. Well, Hayato Tamura defends his G-Rex title against the first inaugural champion, El Lindaman. Now, the real question does tell, can El Lindaman become the first ever two-time G-Rex champion? Well, we'll just have to find out. But we also have, of course, New Japan Pro Wrestling with Dominion featuring the finals of the Best of the Super Juniors. Who will walk out as this year's Best of the Super Juniors? Will it be Taiji Shimuri or El Desperado? We're going to find out as well about that. And then, of course, we have NXT Battleground. NXT heads to Las Vegas. We have, of course, plenty of matches. Who's going to be the first ever NXT Women's North American Champion? We are going to find out. We also have, of course, the NXT Underground match. We have plenty other title matches as well, such as, of course, the NXT Tag Team titles, the North American title, the Women's title, and, of course, the NXT title. But first things first, we have, of course, Sukeban. Now, this is their much recent show that took place on May 30th. Since we're now in June, I can finally get that thing out of the way. So we do have a main event, of course. Commander Nakajima defends her belt against Crush You. So we will see, can Crush You actually crush Nakajima, or Nakajima will reign supreme? Who knows? But we also going to cap up this entire episode with some news updates that tell what's been happening in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are thrown out, who's booked, what matches are set, including some developments that are happening in the world of pro wrestling that we need to be addressing. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, but not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world where pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also do more news updates. If I'm unable to put it on this episode, I can put it on a separate video by itself. We also do real-timing news updates to give you guys updates on alert if something has happened in the world of pro wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also do the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool things as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us. So click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, all introductions have set aside. It's time, as the words of the ring announcer back in WCW days, let's get ready to rumble! That's right, so let's begin with Sukeban. Okay, Sukeban. I know what you're all thinking. J-Rod, this event took place last month on the 30th of May. Yes, as you know, it's kind of difficult to watch it, but good news for all of you. I'm gonna get this out of the way so I can begin with the whole thing. They have a YouTube channel, so you can see this particular show on their on YouTube. All you got to do is just find it and just search for it. You'll get it. So I watched it from there. That's why it took too long. I didn't know about it, but I was looking for means to watching it even on TikTok, but no luck. But luckily, I got to watch it. But let's begin with our first match. Now, keep in mind, those who know this, this was in LA recently, and of course, Rene Paquette was commentating for this one. Our first match, we have the Vandals, consisting of Okatu-chan and Midnight Player taking on Supersonic and Stray Cat. Now, what's interesting about Supersonic and Stray Cat about this team up, and those who know this, Supersonic is a member of the Cherry Bomb, not affiliated with Cherry Bomb, not but however, Stray Cat is the only person in the roster currently unaffiliated with any of the current factions, with the Harikuju Stars, uh, Dangerous Liaison, the Vandals, and of course Cherry Bomb. So it would make sense, but you would think that that would play out a big factor. It kind of would play out, but nonetheless, it was, of course, the X Factor was in fact with Bingo, who was in fact on ringside watching this. She played a big role ensuring that this match will go in favor. But however, that kind of messed up. But it was Midnight Player who picked up the win when she applied a submission onto Supersonic, allowing for her and her tag team partner to pick up the win. Now, our next match, we have singles competition. We have, of course, Maya Mamushi taking on Sari Bomb. Now, interesting combination. Don't forget, Maya, in fact, is a technical wizard. She knows exactly what she needs to do, but you're facing against a person who is hard to put down. And that's exactly what they play out. Now, you would think there's going to be a bit of a difference of this match. I mean, it was a pretty good match, but unfortunately, Saribam kind of drop kicked her right in the head. She could have kicked her head off, but it was Saribam who actually picked up the win on this one. Now, our next match, we have tag team action. We have the Dangerous Liaison, consistent of Konami and Queen of Hearts, who you may know as Miyuki Takase. They take on the Harajuku Stars, Babyface and Saki Bumi. So, very interesting. Now, these two teams have faced off before in a warfare. Don't forget, it was Unagi Kabuki who challenged for the Sukeban World Title against Commander Nakajima, but unfortunately that failed bad. But luckily that kind of played out pretty well. But luckily for Harajuku Stars, they had a very motivational person by their side, someone named Sweetie. So that kind of played out too well. But it was Saki Bumi who picked up Bimi, who actually picked up the win by applying the Koala Buster onto, of course, Konami, giving them the win. Now our next match is what was it? Oh yeah, a gang warfare match. Now I don't know what the hell that is, but this match went into all kinds of hell. Basically, all weapons were allowed. Chairs, tables, whatever, including, of course, the Vandals were right there. So was Dangerous Liaisons as well. But however, you would think that Atomic Banshee, who is known for using the ectoplasma, would have helped. It did not have any effect whatsoever. She could have won in that way. She's been known to win her matches by using the ectoplasma, but for some reason, Lady Antoinette actually picked up the win, which was very, very unusual. Even Banshee was kind of confused. How did that happen? But the ref was made it clear it was over. Now, our main event. Before our start of the main event, we had, of course, the commissioner of Sukeban makes her presence, and that is, of course, WWE Hall of Famer Bull Nakano. So basically, yes. So she made her appearance. So the match is for the Sukeban World Title. Representing Cherry Bomb, we have Crush You versus uh, Commander Nakajima from Danger's Liaison. Now, of course, Danger Liaison, we're going to be on her corner, so we're Cherry Bombs. But however, you would think that this match was going to be interesting because of Crush U's size. It would have played out a big factor, but unfortunately, it was a Hurricanrana by Commander Nakajima that was the deciding factor to put away this match and retain the belt. However, all the other factions are coming out because those who may know or not, Nakajima announced her retirement coming up this August. So I think the real question does tell who will be coming for the gold. That is an excellent question. So we will see when that day comes. But also on a note here, you notice there were two people that were not there. We have Countess Anoi, who you guys know as Sayuru Inui, and Unagi weren't there. So it probably makes sense that they were still in Japan at the time, but we'll see what happens on the next time. So I think we're pretty much done with this particular event. Let's move on with GLEAT. Okay, GLEAT with version EX. This took place just recently in Korakuen Hall on a Sunday. So anybody ask about that? Yes, but let's begin with our first match. Our first match, we have a 10-man tag team match, 5-on-5. So basically, this is going to be a real interesting one. First, we have the members from Strongheart teaming up. We have Junji, Takehiro Yamamura, and of course Seki Yoshioka. They team up with um, what's his name? Oh yeah, with Shuji Ishikawa and of course Tomoaki Hamna. So basically, it's interesting to see three members of Strong Hearts teaming up with other people, and they have that same concept. We have Michiko, uh, Raki Itaka, and of course Kuma Arashi. They team up with two members from Bulk Orchestra, Quiet Storm, and of course Kazuma Sakamoto. Match was okay, pretty much. So basically, anything could happen. But I look at, of course, the second team. You look at guys like Kuma Arashi, Quiet Storm. They are two of the biggest athletes ever. They could actually put you down no matter what. But however, you look at the skill for Strong Hearts. They are good as they get. And then, of course, you got the only female in this match, Michiko. But unfortunately, this match ended when Michiko ended up in the driver by Ishikawa, and just like that, it was over. So basically, that's what happens when you have the only female involved. Now, our next match, we have a very interesting tag team match. We have Jun Toncho and Soma Wanalebe teaming up. They take on the debuting of MXM. You may know them as Mansoor and Mason Madam, formerly known as Mace from WWE. That's right, two former WWE superstars make their debut in Japan with GLEAT. This was announced recently, not too long ago, about them making their presence. But I like this match. It was so fun. Jun Tonsho thought he was tough as nails to beat up. Of course, Mason even chopped him, but Mason was calling him Baka, which means idiot or stupid. So basically, he thought that he was tough enough to challenge him, but it wasn't enough. But in the end, it was Mensur who picked up the win when he actually pinned Toncho, and it was just over. I'm sure many fans will love to see MXM make their return again, but only time will tell. Now we got the members of the Yans family, Issei Onizuka and Takanori Ito. They team up with Soi Domanji. Now it's interesting that Soi was in fact involved in this match because recently there was a match between him and Takanori involved, but apparently they had to face against BGI consistent of Kotaro Suzuki and Keishi Sato, and of course Hartley Jackson. Now, the match was pretty good until later on we did see Diamondji actually turn on the Yans family, um, basically allowing, of course, Sato to pin Ito and just to win just like that, which is very, very disappointing loss for very disappointing and very surprising move from, of course, Diamondji on this one. Now, our next match, we have the other members of Strong Hearts, consisting of T-Hawk and Iri. They take on Gendo Kashin and Kazuyuki Fujita. However, they did not like how these guys decided to have their own entrance, so both members of Strong Hearts just immediately attacked them and took out their personal ring announcer. But you would think that they would have had the much better effect, because these guys are very well respected as one of the most highly talented wrestlers, but they're facing against veteran wrestlers that don't give a damn. So basically, that's what happened, because it was Fujita with a power bomb onto T-Hawk, allowing for him and his tag partner to win. Now, our next match, we have Takumi and SBK taking on the other members of Black Generation International, Tetsuya Izushi and Kaito Sato. Of course, these bastards were going to cheat in every aspect. Not to mention, they got the whole motley crew by their side always. I mean, Takuma and SBK have no one. But man, I have to say, these guys shown a lot of heart. Ishida used everything in his playbook to take them out. Nothing worked. They kicked out. The German suplex, anything that would have worked. But however, SBK had this match won dead to rights with the sharpshooter. But however, somehow it was Ishida that overturned into an inside cradle, winning the match. Huge disappointment loss for Takuma and of course SBK, but nonetheless they put their hearts and energy. I'm sure they would want to have a rematch, but if BGI are a bunch of cowards not to want to give them, it proves they are not number one. Now I think that's pretty much it on this one, so I think we jump into our main event, which is of course the G-Rex title. Now, those who know this or not, the first ever G-Rex champion was El Lindaman. He was the first inaugural champion to win this title. Now, in the past, Hayato Tamura, who is our current champion, has challenged for this belt multiple times, but unable to, of course, to win it. He even did it with El Lindaman. It did not work. However, I'm sure Tamura felt the same. Hayato Tamura felt, that this will always haunt him, knowing he was unable to defeat, of course, El Lindaman. But you ask yourself, Lindaman knows he has his number. Basically, he did defeat him once. But the real question is, does lightning strikes twice? Well, I have to say, even though El Lindaman is a very short dude for his size, but Tamura was the only one who did not want this match to fall out of favor. He was able to put every ounce of fighting spirit in this match, but he took out, of course, El Lindaman with the lariat and allowing himself to retain the belt. So that loss has finally been avenged, and now he can move forward. But right now, his next opponent, we do know he will have to face against Yuki Ino. So that's going to be very interesting to see. So I think that's pretty much it what we have for GLEAT. I believe our next review is New Japan Pro Wrestling. Okay, New Japan Pro Wrestling Dominion. As you know, it's also the finals of the Best of the Super Juniors. What an incredible ride, guys, not to mention. Now, I will get to that at the end of this review, but let's get started with the beginning of the entire event. We first have a singles action match. We have Calvin Newman taking on Tetsuya Naito. Now, you would think Newman defeating Naito would be a big deal. You would say it would have been a possibility. I'm sure because Newman listened to the stories from Osprey, because Osprey in the past used to blame Naito for for dissolving the Intercontinental Championship until, well, that was done by Bushi, but he was the one who instigated it from his point of view. But nonetheless, Naito showing his resiliency, showing who he is as the Stardust genius was the reason he picked up the win with Destino. This should be a disappointing loss for Newman, but however, I'm sure Naito is determined to push forward from here on out. Now, our next match, we have a very interesting six-man tag team match. We have TMDK, Kosa Fujita, Robbie Eagles, and Zack Sabre Jr. teaming up, taking on members of the War Dogs, Clark Connors and Drilla Maloney, taking on LG Clearing. Now, don't forget, of course, this whole thing with Jake Lee and the War Dogs had becoming a strong bond between the two factions from two different promotions. Excuse me. Okay, now, of course, but however, the indication is this. We do see the potential in the future seeing both Fujita and Eagles get a shot of the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles. That's always been the thing. So that's been the conversation. I'm sure their losses towards them will not go diminish, but unfortunately, they were not the ones that picked up the match because it was in fact Zack Sabre Jr. who did it with the Zack driver on Clearing. So, as the words of Zack Sabre Jr. would say, I took out the dickhead. So that's what he would do. Now, our next match, this is the KOPW Championship. Now remember, not too long ago, Yuya Uemura defeated Great-O-Khan for this belt, and now it's back again. So this time they decided to do a Storm Catch rules match. So basically, you would think that Uemura would pick up the win on this one, but no, Great-O-Khan once again reclaimed this belt. I'm sure Uemura will move forward with another belt, but that's going to take time until we get it. Because it was Khan with the Super Eliminator that put him away. Now, our next match, we have, of course, the Never Openweight six-man tag team belts. LIJ, Bushi, Hiromu, and, of course, Yota Tsuji taking on Boltin Oleg, Toru Yano, and Hiroshi Tanahashi. Now, don't forget, not too long ago, it was of course Yota Tsuji that was able to pick up the win by pinning Tanahashi, giving him the opportunity for a shot of these belts. However, of course, Boltin Oleg continues to impress us with his remarkable strength in this match. But unfortunately, this match ended with LIJ becoming the new Never Openweight six-man tag team champions when he Gene Blast Tanahashi, and just like that, it was over. However, Oleg was demanding for Tsuji to acknowledge him, but Tsuji ignores him. So this will make Tsuji his first championship match, however, championship to hell, but however, this also led for, of course, Hiromu to the Hell in Never title. So that basically put it in a good perspective. But at the same time, Bushi, as you know, he has been multiple Never Openweight champions before. But nonetheless, we'll see what happens. Excuse me. Now, our next title match is the New Japan World Television title, Tomohiro Ishii versus Jeff Cobb. Now, Ishii was the one who issued the challenge, but this one was a straight up hoss fight. Obviously, you would ask who will be the strongest. I mean, Ishii is like plain up a stone pitbull. But however, Cobb was able to pick up the win with the Tour of the Islands, retaining the belt. Now, our next match, it's a four-way match, winner takes all match for the IWGP Tag Team titles and the Never Openweight the New Japan Strong Open Tag Team titles. We have TMDK, Mikey Nichols and Shane Haste, Bushiman, the current Strong Openweight champions. What's their name? Oh yeah, Hikuleo and El Fantasmo, and then of course Bullet Club Chase Owens and Kenta. Now, of course, you would ask yourself, how is this going to end? I mean, of course, Bullet Club would definitely want all the gold, but however, it was in fact TMDK with the Tank Buster that allowed them to win the match when they applied it onto Yoshihashi, giving them the win, and now they are, I think, two-time IWGP Tag Team Champion and current Strong Openweight Tag Team Champions. So this led to a very interesting finish. However, in the post-match comment, it was later foretold that Hikuleo was leaving. So this led to El Fantasmo being alone once again. That now that Tonga are gone, that leaves just him right there. Now our next match is the Never Openweight Championship. This was announced when Hinare issued the challenge for this belt. Now, Hinare has been determined to prove once and for all that this was his time. And that's exactly what was happening. So basically, he wanted this match to happen. But this was a straight up house fight as well. But I think many people were hoping that I just hope Hinare doesn't die, because he nearly died during that steel cage match that sidelined him for a while, but ended in a double knockout. So the winner walks out. I'm sure Hinare and Shingo are not satisfied with this result. I'm sure they'll come back again eventually. Now our next match is the IWGP World Heavyweight title in a lumberjack match. That piece of garbage of Evil once again with his antics. He disrespected the president of President Kidani by spray painting him once again, showing his superiority, claiming he's the good guy, but he has to face against Jon Moxley. He thinks that he is the real champion. He thinks that he's the New Japan president. That's a load of bullshit. So basically, that's what he was doing the entire time. But however, don't count out Moxley. Now, of course, the only way House of Torture would make sure this match goes in their favors is unless the referee is knocked down. But of course, Mox had his enforcers, the third generation, even though, of course, the House of Torture are calling them old farts. Don't mess with the old men, because they will kick your ass. And that's exactly what happened. But however, Evil thought he had this won when he put him through a table, and then he applied the Death Rider and kicked out. Evil was in dismay. So it did not end there until, of course, Moxley had something planned out in his back pocket. He brought in the barbed wire baseball bat that many people know. No one expected it. He cleaned house with these jerk monkeys, with all members of House of Torture. And Evil thought he had this coming, thought that he had this one in his plan, but he ended up in a Death Rider right on top of the barbed wire, and just like that, he retained his belt. But of course, this is a clear message for Evil. Don't deny real strong heart, real fighting spirit of Moxley. He is who he is, and don't deny. I think Evil underestimated him because he thought he had all of it planned out. Now, this is where things are interesting. As soon as this match was over, guess who decided to be the next challenger? The man that, of course, Moxley defeated for this belt, Tetsuya Naito. He showed up. However, he had a very interesting plan. He decided to become the next challenger at Forbidden Door. That's right. Reason he decided to do this, he knows that it was his fault for losing the belt to an outsider, which is Jon Moxley. So, looks like it's gonna happen. So, this is gonna be a good one. Now, our main event is the finals of the best of the Super Juniors. I have to say, this was one of the most incredible matches ever. Desperado has never won this tournament, but could that change? We have Taiji Shimori, who has shown he's one of the best. Man, this match went crazy and crazy in every way possible. But, however, Despy applied a new move that he never done, which is, of course, the Tiger Driver, and then the Pinche Loco, and just like that, he is this year's best of the Super Juniors, got the trophy and the flag. But, of course, his party was crashed by the so-called a-hole of the House of Torture, the so-called best junior in the world, Show. He's saying that he's the best because he wants Despy to relinquish the belt. But however, Despy got him real good. While they were talking back and forth, it was later, you know, that he wants him to be in a steel cage match. And that puts Show in a very, like, precarious, like, huh? So basically, he's saying that he's tough. So basically, he's telling him, you keep saying you're tough. Let's see you put your money where your mouth is. So I think Show has been BSing everyone thinking that, or people just think he was full of it. But I would love to see it because the last time we know someone nearly died in that one. And that was when we had the Bullet Club War Dogs versus the United Empire. But we will see what happens until then. But for now, I think we are done with this one. Let's move on with NXT Battleground. Okay. NXT Battleground made their way to Las Vegas. It opened up with our host, Sexy Red. Yes, of course, Sexy Red opened up the show, greeted the fans, yada yada yada. So we don't need to do that formality that much. But let's start with our very first match, which is the inaugural NXT Women's North American title. Now, don't forget, this was a thing that was brought upon by general manager Ava. So we had 6 qualifying matches, but this was a bit of a somewhat of a, how do I say, bring back the past. If you remember, the first ever North American title match was also in a ladder match, and we all know who was the winner for that one. That one was, of course, Adam Cole, which Vic Joseph mentioned. So we had, of course, 6 women who are now fighting for who will be the first. We have Soruka, Jada Parker, Michin, Fallon Henley, Lash Legend, and Kelani Jordan. However, which of these women will be the first? That's always been the question. But man, this match was carnage, in every way possible. But they all 5 women took out Lash Legend. She was taken out, tossed towards a ladder. I mean, hope she's okay, but she was the much bigger threat, even though she does have a lot of power, a lot of whatever. But that played out pretty well. But another surprising move came from Soruka when she applied not 1 but 2 snow snatchers on Jada Parker and Fallon Henley off the corner turnbuckle and off the ladder. But however, this match, I did not know exactly how this was going to go. Now, do I had a specific favorite that could have won this match? Well, to be honest with you, I was hoping it was Soruka who was in fact going to win this match. But surprisingly, it was in fact Kelani Jordan after she took out, I think it was Michi when she applied the leg moonsault and then climbed the ladder, pulled down the belt, and she is our very first inaugural NXT Women's North American Champion. So now that she's the champion, now she has a huge target in her back, but we will see how she will defend this belt. Now, earlier, the day before of NXT Battleground, Ethan Page has made his arrival. He had no intentions to party because he had one thing in mind, and that is to obtain the NXT title, but his little interview was interrupted with Ora Mensa, who's out for revenge for what he did to not only his pal Noam Dar and to him as well. So I'm sure Ethan Page hasn't is gonna not it's livid. I'm sure that he demands that this man is banned from the building. So we probably would expect that. Now, our next match is the NXT Tag Team titles. We have the Good Brothers, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, taking on the champions Nathan Frazier and Axiom. Now, this whole match came about because, of course, the Good Brothers were demanding a shot of these belts. But however, there were those that don't believe that because they're from the main roster, they deserve a shot of these titles. They felt like, they should earn it more. But no. They just say, hey, you don't belong here, pal. This is not your turf. But of course, this was granted by them, and of course, the Good Brothers were not going to let, of course, guys like them try to hold them down. But you would think with their experience and, of course, how to say, their their convictions of winning these type of matches would have been played out. But however, that wasn't the case. You see Axiom and Nathan, they had to show them that they are the true champions and that they're willing to fight for them. And that's exactly what they did. However, it was, of course, a combination of the super Spanish fly and then a Phoenix splash to put away Carl Anderson, having Nathan Frazier and Axiom retain the belts. So that was pretty great. Now our next match is the NXT Underground, Shayna Baszler versus Lola Vice. So this is a battle of these two women are MMA fighters, and of course that would play it out pretty well. However, Shayna Baszler with her temper and violent ways would have found a way to put Lola Vice in her place, but Lola Vice shown why she is, of course, a breakout. Put her down completely and was completely pounding her head. The ref had no choice but to end this match, knowing there was no response from Shayna Baszler, and it ended right there. However, when she came to, she didn't realize that she lost. Now, our next match is the North American title, Wesley versus Joe Coffey versus the champion Oba Femi. Now, of course, Wesley, we have seen him. He's shown heart and determination to deal with, of course, that he is always up against all odds. However, the odds are against him. He's facing two of the biggest individuals. But you would think Obafemi would find a way to stop them. Now, you would think Obafemi would go against Wesley, putting him down for the win, but no. But however, Gallows was trying to ensure this match goes to Joe Coffey. It didn't do any well because Wesley wiped them out. But unfortunately, of course, Joe Coffey ended up in the pop-up powerbomb by Obafemi to retain the belt. Now, we did see a little later that Wesley was attacked by Gallows. Retaliation that this match ended badly for Joe Coffey, not winning the belt. But that's how it went. But if you guys saw this on the account, apparently Wesley's buddies, Trey Miguel and Zachary Wentz, call us in. So basically, there is the chances we could see them on NXT. So we'll see where that leads us. Now, our next match, we have the Women's Championship. The TNA Knockouts World Champion Jordynne Grace versus Roxanne Perez. Now, of course, this was a pretty impressive match. I'm like, wow, it was pretty good. Of course, Roxanne Perez feels threatened. Why is it that she has to face someone who is not from WWE? Well, a lot of people gave high praises towards her. But this match could have won by Jordynne Grace if it wasn't for Tatum Paxley, who just obviously show up, takes the TNA belt, and then Ash by Elegance, but Vic Joseph almost tried to call her by her former WWE ring name, Dana Brooke, corrected himself. However, I don't know what she was doing. We know that Ash by Elegance does have her sights set on the TNA Knockouts belt. I wouldn't be surprised if Tatum Paxley shows up in TNA and try to take that belt once again. But because of this distraction, this allowed for, of course, Roxanne Perez to apply the Pop Rocks and picked up the win. However, there was an exclusive video shown that, of course, Roxanne Perez saying the fans were surprised because they thought that Jordynne Grace, and she was so pissed, and she said no one in the world can defeat her. But there is a chance someone could. And CM Punk tried to warn her. And you know what she said? I don't take advice from hypocrites. She thinks that, of course, that his advice doesn't mean jack. Well, we'll see what happens. Now, our next match, our main event, is the NXT Championship, Ethan Page versus Trick Williams. Now, how did we got here this quickly? Simple. Noam Dar was supposed to have a title match against Trick Williams, but he was taken out. Of course, Oro Menza and the rest, and Jakara Jackson, accused Trick Williams for attacking him, but Lash Legend was 100% confident it wasn't him, and then Oro Menza himself was attacked until Ethan Page showed up and attacked him, and then he revealed that he was the one behind it. The only reason he did what he did, he decided to cut in front of the line, which of course it happened. But however, you would think that Ethan Page would play his cool, but the entirety of the match, as I mentioned before, Oro Menza showed up looking for some payback, but it did not happen too much. But however, in this entire match, you would have thought that Ethan Page would have found a way to win this belt, but he did lose his cool with his temper towards the referee when he was upset that the match did not end in 3. But it gave, of course, Trick to apply the trick shot, and just like that, he retained his title. So we'll see what happens on here then. But I'm sure Ethan Page, this will not be the last time we'll hear from him. I'm sure that he's gonna find blame on this one, and I think I know where that blame is gonna go. But we just gotta wait until Tuesday. So we'll see what happens. But for right now, we are done with all the reviews. Let's move on with some news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news updates. So let's begin with some, of course, updates with the promotions on their upcoming events. First, we have 2 from GCW. We have, of course, the I Can't Feel My Face. That'll take place on the 16th of June in Phoenix. It was announced that we're going to have Thrusty to be in this match. They will face Los Macizos, that consistent of Ciclopse and Medio Extremo, teaming up with Sandra Moon. So they'll be facing, of course, Dark Sheik, Effie, and Ali Catch. So that's going to be a fun match. And then later on in August, as you know, we have the Now and Forever show taking place in Cleveland, Ohio. The cutest in the world, Maki Ito, will be making her return. Now, of course, we have a new entrant meant for the upcoming Dennis Richmond Invitational on the 29th of June by West Coast Pro and Oasis Pro. The entrant is Alice Blair. Now, I don't know much about her, but hopefully I get the chance to see this one so I can get a clear view of this one. And then finally, as you know, we have the Beyond Wrestling event Americana that will take place on July 4th. They just announced Tom Filthy Lawler will be making his presence as well. Now, many of you have recently been hearing what's been going on social media regarding Ricochet. Now, we do know there's been reports saying by PW Insider that, of course, that he gave his notice to WWE. Now, however, those closest to him, according to Fightful, said that the situation with that is still up in the air. But, however, certain people within WWE are likely to believe that he will be making his way to AEW, which is something that's been discussed. Now, because of this whole thing was being announced, it appears in New Japan are interested in Ricochet. Don't forget, he used to wrestle in New Japan. Who could forget, of course, his incredible match with Will Ospreay, and Will Ospreay said that he would love to have him there. So we will love to see him there. Now, Saki Kashima has announced that she may be turning down the possibility of participating in this year's 5-star Grand Prix, and the reason is this: if there's not a lot of rookies, of course, not involved, then there's no point for her. But that's how she wants to win. She knows that she's always against all odds, but that's how it goes. Now, Fightful Select reports something interesting. You may have noticed Gigi Dolin has not been seen on television for quite some time. However, it was confirmed by Fightful Select that she's been out on injury for the past few months. So basically, it's still unclear when she'll be back, but all we can hope for a speedy recovery. Now, Booker T on his podcast, on the Hall of Fame podcast, he mentioned about Moose, and he talked about that Moose most likely would bypass NXT to go to the main roster. So that is something that is a possibility. We have seen wrestlers that actually did not went to NXT. We saw that with Dominic Mysterio. We saw that with AJ Styles. So anything is a possibility of that. So we'll see where that goes. Now, as you all know, I reviewed GLEAT recently. There was one thing that I have been eluding, and I decided to save out of here. Throughout the entirety of the latest GLEAT show, the president of LEDET, the parent company that owns GLEAT, had a private table not that far from the ring, where, of course, he had an unexpected guest. And that guest is someone we haven't seen after losing the Triple Crown Championship in All Japan. I'm talking about Katsuhiko Nakajima. So that's right. Katsuhiko Nakajima was there. So I don't know what's the purpose, but we will see. So that's something that's been in the air now with him. Now, finally, as you all know what happened recently in Stardom, apparently Oedo Tai are asking for a final showdown between, of course, their longtime rivals, Queen's Quest. However, instead of Natsuko Tora making the match, she decided to leave that situation towards, of course, President Okada. Now, Okada had to make a very interesting way. However, he decided to have a loser leaves the unit elimination match. So that means whoever is the last one to lose in this match will most likely be out of the faction. And the reason behind that is because Okada said that these two factions, Queen's Quest and of course Oedo Tai, they're long standing. They don't want to see them disband, so it's a good part of it, but this is a very interesting thing, so we'll see what happens. So as of right now, let's just call it a day. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Coming up, as you guys may know, as Despy is the new winner of the Best of the Super Juniors, well, his self-produced show, Despy Invitational, is going to be on. I'm excited, but here's what you guys don't know about. Right at the end of New Japan, they were just told that they received invitations from Despy himself. I'm going to assume he wants them as their English commentators for a show. So I'm very looking forward to that. But we'll see what happens. So if there's any other reviews, I don't know yet. We'll see what happens from here on out. But let's just keep moving forward from here on out. So until then, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. And have a nice day.